The Bradley Braves came back to the Scottrade Center for their second game of the tournament against number 2 seeded University of Northern Iowa. UNI took an early lead, fueled behind the arc, starting off with Wes Washpun, who was ready for the Panthers to make a run. Deion Mitchell also commanded the three-point line as he brought the Panthers' lead up 18-8. Then with back-to-back possessions, Jeremy Morgan hits yet another three for the Panthers. Is this arc madness or arch madness? But Bradley wasn't ready to give them this game. Tremeke Sutherland says, "I'll take that," goes down the floor for a transition basket. And immediately following comes Josh Cunningham with a breakaway jumper to end the half. Braves down 27-22. In the first half, the Braves shot 45.5% from the field, while UNI shot 45%. Back to the second half, UNI must have decided they were taking back control and sent the Braves packing. Matt Bohannon drains an open three, Panthers up 40-32. UNI leading scorer Nate Buss takes it where else but behind the arc. Then next time down the court, Buss takes a different approach, a huge contested dunk, Panthers up 50-34, and they just could not be stopped. Jeremy Morgan takes it up with authority. Panthers take the win over Bradley 71-46. The final score was expected, obviously. UNI was a clear favorite in that game. The way that they won was not expected, however. Alfredo, what let UNI finally pull away? It looked early on like Bradley was going to stay close with them at least. What allowed UNI to finally pull away for that big win?
I would say that the preparation they had for this game, especially I would say that the tactic by Coach Ben Jacobson, who started the game very intensively and made the transitions from attacking to defense real quick, and he actually managed to keep all of his guys inside the 2-point area, and gave no other chance to Bradley at the beginning than to try for 3-pointers. And when they got the ball and got in possession of the ball, they made the transitions real quick, which were very physically demanding for Bradley. And they managed not only to make the transitions real quick, but to move the ball in a very fast pace, which will also make it physically demanding for Bradley. They kind of dosified at the end of the first half, which made a huge run for Bradley and tied the game and eventually get some advantage. At the beginning.
Now, so sorry to cut you off. Seth Tuttle, obviously, the Panthers' best player, their star, one of the stars of the MVC. He was kept in check for most of the game. He didn't score his first bucket until 26 minutes into the game, which is incredible for one of the Player of the Year candidates. How was he finally able to lead UNI on that big run that they had to win the game?
He was especially important in the second half, I would say, because even though he didn't score that much points, he was important for the team to keep balance in the game, and his teammates always looked for him when they looked for him as a support to keep the ball and keep the possession of the ball once they were getting into advantage, and once he decided to pace up the rhythm, UNI will pace up the rhythm. So he was very I would say that he was very confident, even though he didn't score that much. And Coach Jacobson said it in the press conference that young Seth Tuttle, freshman, sophomore Seth Tuttle, will be very frustrated by this, but he's now a more mature player and he understands his role for the team better.
Yeah, and Coach probably had a big part of that. He was obviously MVC's Coach of the Year winner this year. UNI had a great game. They finally were able to pull away from Bradley. Let's find out who they're going to play tomorrow in the semifinals of Arch Madness. Day 2's nightcap featured the 6th-seeded Loyola Ramblers against the 3rd-seeded Indiana State Sycamores, who beat Loyola in both regular season matchups, but tonight it was all Ramblers, and I mean all Ramblers from the tip. This three from Ben Richardson got them going. Montel James decided to give the Sycamore defender a little taste of his sugar and spice to put the Ramblers up 7-4. Moments later, Devin Turk got the ball back for Loyola as he drew a charge in transition before James once again on the other end, bulldozed the Sycamore D for yet another bucket. Christian Thomas decided to join the party in the paint after grabbing Milton Doyle's missed layup and putting it back up for the score, giving the Ramblers a 13-7 advantage. At the other end, Doyle told ISU to come back later because the soup kitchen was closed today. Montel James with a steal and handoff to Earl Peterson. He takes it down the court, draws 3 defenders in to clear room for Ben Richardson, 3 right here. Turk tried his best Richardson impersonation, but he failed. Christian Thomas says, "You know what, Devin? I'm going to give you another chance," and Turk takes advantage and drains the 3. In transition, Ben Richardson finds Milton Doyle, who goes up for a lay-in, count it, and 1. Richardson goes over to his boy Milton, daps him up. A beautiful passing display by the Ramblers ends in Joe Chrisman finding James for an open mid-range jumper going into the half, where Loyola led 38-20. Loyola shot lights out from the field with 59.3% from the field and an astounding 60% from the three-point line. Out of the break, Turk puts up a 3 and splash. Back on D, Montel says, no, not today. His block helps Peterson push for quite the authentic Euro step and layup. This time it's Christian Thomas with whoop, massive dunk in transition. Is that Turk again? Why, yes it is. Drains a 3 and tries to pump up the Loyola fans seated near the court. Thomas is surrounded by all 5 Sycamore defenders, but that doesn't matter because he finds a way to put it up and in. Dante Ingram? Why yes, join the party, why don't you? He hits a 3, followed by a Richardson 3 for a 65-26 Rambler lead that they would not relinquish for the rest of the game. They'd go on to win 81-53. The shooting was the same in the second half. Ben Richardson, lights out, career-high 15 points. Here's Coach Porter Moser and forward Christian Thomas.
You know, they get it going. They really hurt us in transition the first 2 games, and we came in at halftime, and the first thing I said was they had 0 fast break points, and they all erupted.
It's a lot, it means a lot, just because I had a lot of family and friends in the crowd today that haven't really gotten a chance to come up to Chicago to catch a game, and so finally getting that, come back and play a great game in front of them tonight and get an opportunity to win another one tomorrow. It's going to be great.
I'm just going to give this to you. I have no idea what just happened. I watched the game.
Yeah.
My head hurts a little bit right now just thinking about what happened. I'm confused.
I don't know where I am right
Yeah.
now. But let me start off by saying I'm really disappointed in their free throw shooting tonight. 47%. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to talk about that. Wow. On both sides of the ball, I don't think that there was a mistake made tonight. I mean, I've never seen Loyola get after it on defense like that the way they did tonight. Indiana State was a much bigger team, and I was going to think they were going to struggle in the paint tonight. They did not. Christian Thomas and Montel James owned.
They dominated.
The paint.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing. They got every loose ball, every rebound. They were putting buckets in like no problem.
Yeah.
The high-low was working to the most efficient degree. I mean, it was unbelievable, but it was the three-point shooting that was off the charts.
Yeah.
They made 11 threes today. They shot, I think, over 60% from the three-point line.
Yeah.
Ben Richardson was 5 for 5 from behind the arc, 15 points.
He was incredible.
He didn't miss.
Yeah.
He didn't miss. I mean, it was – they were up by 40 points with like 15 minutes to go in the second half. It was ridiculous.
What do you think of them bringing their best player off the bench? I mean, I know he's just coming back from injury. His first game back was against Missouri State, the last regular season game.
You know, I think Moser had the confidence in the starting 5 that he'd been going with while Doyle was injured. And Doyle clearly was perfectly healthy, but I think it was more he didn't want to mess up the chemistry that the starting 5 had formed. And it was obvious that they were playing at a high level.
And Ben Richardson stepped up in his place in the starting lineup.
I think he deserved. I mean, he solidified that starting spot.
He was, in my opinion, he was the player of the game. Yeah. Although Montel and Christian dominated inside, I don't think they would have been able to do what they did without Ben Richardson.
But it's interesting because Doyle's stat line doesn't jump out at you, but I really think that with him on the court, even in the last 10 minutes of the last game of the season versus Drake, he just opens the court up so much more, and the offense is so much more fluid just when he's on, simply by him being on the court. Yeah. And Loyola's offense looked fantastic tonight. They were moving the ball at a high pace. It was the most exciting that their offense has been in a long time, and they have threats from three-point now, which is amazing. I mean, it was probably, I mean, by far, I mean, and I don't want to be biased here because we are covering Loyola specifically, but that was definitely the most exciting basketball I've seen here so far.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question Loyola's the most impressive team we've seen so far this week.
Yeah.
UNI looked good, obviously, in the second half, but Wichita State looked all right. They were shaky times. Loyola was dominant from the tip until
Yeah.
the very end. They're making threes in the last 2 minutes of the game. They're so dominant. Going back to Milton Doyle, he only had 4 shots in the game.
Yeah.
What other teams have we seen that can have their best player shoot the ball 4 times and they're up by 40 points, over 40 points?
And that's the thing right now. No other team, I mean, almost every other team has had one of their star players perform at a really
Yeah.
high level. Now, Christian Thomas had a great game today. So
He's a star, but he's not.
But this was a
Milton
team
Doyle,
effort.
obviously.
I mean, there were 4 people in double digits. Devin Turk had 9 points. Milton Doyle had 7. I mean, everybody was scoring. It seemed like everybody couldn't miss. It was unbelievable. The offense was just at such an efficient level. I can't even. My words are struggling at this point. It's late, but it's also because I can't believe what I just saw.
Even Cal Kennedy got a basket at the end.
Cal
of the game.
Kennedy got a tip in. Are you kidding me?
That's how you
Are
know
you
that.
kidding me?
That's how you know that.
London
we're dreaming.
DeCubo made a free throw.
He did.
But
He did.
but you know what? I mean, this was a fantastic game going into next week tomorrow next week. Going into tomorrow versus UNI. I really think Indiana State, while they were third in the conference, they didn't have the strongest year
It's
this
a
year. They
clear
had a
top-
strong Missouri Valley
Yeah.
Conference record, but they were, I think, 500 overall.
It's a clear top 2 in the
So-
MVC. Indiana State was grouped with that 3 through 6 that Loyola's in for sure.
Yeah, so I think tomorrow's going to be the true test.
Yeah.
If they come out and play the same way, it's going to be a heck of a game tomorrow.
And now we know UNI is not going to take them softly. They're after they saw this.
No.
If
No.
I don't know if the Panthers are still in the building watching the game, they didn't have to watch it in person to know that Loyola's.
Oh, they're
legit.
going to be watching tape now.
Yeah, yeah.
After
They're-
that.
Yeah.
But I just hope that Loyola can sustain it because, I mean, they were playing at such a high level. I'm just worried that they won't be able to maintain that.
Yeah, it was for sure a statement win, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
It was a shocker. The Shockers weren't in this game, but it was definitely a shocker.
Man.
I don't know. There's not much to say for day 2 at Arch Madness. Well, thank you for the coverage, Alfredo, Joaquin, Emma, and Allison earlier.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow for day 3 at Arch Madness here in St. Louis.